currently not here. Since Mr. Ebenezar is currently not here, so I would just read out the profile of Mrs. Ifeoma. So we don't waste our time. She'll be our first speaker for the day. So Barrister Mrs. Ifeoma Philippa Peterkins-Itoe is a woman rights activist, a special needs advocate, and SGBV trained counselor. A dual qualified lawyer of England and Nigeria. She is the founder of Siblings of Special Needs Foundation, SOS NEEDS Nigeria, a national non-governmental, non-partisan civil society organization in honor of persons with special developmental needs and their families with affiliations with Subshop USA and National Autism Organization UK. She is also a senior legal practitioner of SEND, that's Special Needs and Disabilities Law, the first of its kind in Nigeria. At Board Think Legal Practitioners, a corporate and SEND law firm at Abuja with its head office at Bennett County, London. A trained facilitator, she practices and lectures as a corporate lawyer, SGBV, and SEND expert at both private and government organizations. She's a fellow alumni and course mentor of the School of Politics, Policy, and Governance. It gave me great privilege to welcome to the house, Mrs. Ifeoma Philippa Peterkins-Itoe. You're welcome, ma'am.
Thank you very much. Please let me know if my audio is okay.
Yes, it's clear, ma'am.
Yeah, it's clear.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. It's a really big privilege for me. Just wanted to say thank you for having me. And to the other speakers, Mr. Ebenezar and Mr. Oluwole, thank you very much for having me. Thank you, LLMP. I think this is a very great initiative. And for everyone on the call, please be settled, feel free. We're all colleagues, regardless of whenever it is that anybody had passed out. Please just feel free. If there's any questions you have in mind, let us know. And to everyone at LLMP, I think this is more than just such a great initiative. I wish I personally had this in law school, because I came in to Nigeria as an international student from the UK, having practiced primarily in the UK and the US. And so Nigeria was very new grounds for me. And if I had something like this, then maybe it would have been great. I want to speak to the people on the call about three things: the passion, the test, and the law. And I'm really happy that I actually got to start before Mr. Ebenezar, because I don't want to bore you with all the big grammar of why it is that you have to be in this great career. I really just want to speak to everyone about their passion. I can see that it would take a lot of things for so many of you. I'm seeing your names, and I know that every single person here must have given a great deal of sacrifice to have gone through law school, whether you've just finished or whether you're still there. It's a big sacrifice. And more than anything else, there's this thing that happens when you come out of law school. It's almost like all the tests start coming immediately. Most people might have, the zeal of, oh, I want to practice here, I want to do this, I want to do that. But I really want you guys to calm down and just indulge me for the next 10, 15 minutes. So if you have a pen or something, please just write it out. The passion, the test, and the law. So TEST for your test, and then the law. I could call on anyone. Is it okay if I call on anyone while I'm talking, and you can just tell me what your passion is? I can see a few people here: Dupe, Blessing, God's Glory, Gumik, Ifemide, Okewu, Ola, Oluwatobilola, Oyinkolade. Whoever doesn't want to answer, don't answer me, okay? But if there's anyone that wants to be my little test subject today, do you want to raise your hand, or should I call on anyone?
You have liberty to call on anyone.
I don't want to put anyone on the spot. God's glory, do you want to do this with me?
I would love to, but I'm in a public taxi, so it's quite noisy.
All right.
I was just typing that.
All right, let's see someone else. Hi, Duka. Hi, Duka, do you want to go?
Okay, ma'am, I will.
All right, sweetheart. Right.
Okay, so
aside law school, let's forget about law school now. What are
yes,
you passionate about?
okay. So I'll start by saying that a lot has happened to my passion. So studying law for 5 years and going to law school. So a lot happened to it. And then even when I was in law school, I thought to myself that I'm not sure I want to be in the practice for the rest of my life. Yeah, because my
Very
eyes open
normal.
to other things. So, but presently, what I am really passionate about is doing litigation for at least the first years of my practice. I realized that it's going to open me up to different areas of law, criminal, civil, any matter that comes under litigation, basically. Yes, that's what I'm passionate about now. This is going to help me to understand other aspects. Yeah.
That's great. These are the things you're passionate in law. I want to know, what are you passionate about outside law?
Okay. I'm passionate about helping people realize who they are. I'm passionate about making them aware of the fact that they are not inferior. They can be all they want to be, and then they can be all they want to be, basically. I'm passionate about helping them to be aware of the potentials they have. So I'm passionate about people generally, young people, especially, and to an extent to old people, actually. I'm passionate about listening to them, hearing about their experiences so far. Yes.
That's great. Thank you. Thank you very much, Dupe. So we're going to use Dupe's analysis, and then I'll just explain when I say the passion. Once you start practice, there are a few things that you would quickly get to understand. Number one cardinal rule: you won't always like your clients. That's the truth. So you have to know why you started what you started. And a lot of the time, it might not be the passion within the law that would hold you. It might be the passion outside of the law that would hold you there. So you won't be able to pick and choose which clients you take on. At least if you want to make a living, you won't be able to pick and choose which client comes on board. There are some clients that might come on your table and you're like, no, but you know you have to make a living. So sometimes you might need to hold on to a passion that is outside of your career and hold on to what it is that actually makes you a human being and what makes that other person as a client a human being. So most times, people who need lawyers don't represent one single simple demographic. You know, they might just be so out there that you're wondering, what did I get myself into? So that's one of the cardinal rules that you need to understand. You need to know what kind of passions you have outside of your law practice, not just only inside of your law practice. And those things are going to help you shape the kind of paradigm and the kind of lawyer that you're going to be. Because as you all know, I'm sure people know, there's this widespread distrust people have for lawyers. And it has existed since ancient times. Most people just feel like, oh, there's a lot of billing, there's a lot of this, it's too sensational, lawyers are this, lawyers are that. So you already have that against you as you're coming out, whether you like it or not. So it's up to you to change that public image. And the way you change that public image is by understanding that you will not always get the clients that you want. And also understanding that clients are really not spending as much. So it might affect how you're going forward with your practice. But if you understand the kind of passion that you're carrying, then you will know the kind of tests that you are going to face going forward. Because as you know now, we're in a global world, the practice of law is changing dramatically. And lawyers, we no longer have that monopoly over this field. There are so many things that you can just search on the internet and you find. Gone are the days where you're like having to wait for a lawyer to tell you chapter this of that. You just go on the internet, you go, and you're like, oh, okay, there's a virtual law office here, or there's a self-help website where I can log in and get an agreement and all this. Do you understand? But that is not a thing now for you to now stop what it is that you have learned all these years, what you've actually practiced to become. You cannot allow the changing legal paradigm stop your passion, and it cannot allow it to be the tests that will make you stop your practice, and you cannot allow it to be the reason why you do not focus on continuing on that law paradigm that is changing. So at every given time, you need to keep asking yourself, what am I passionate about? What is this? And there are reasons why you might switch. Klaidufa is saying she wants to do litigation. She might get into practice and realize, okay, maybe I don't want to do litigation. Maybe I want to do more of civil, or maybe I want to work in an NGO, or maybe I don't even want to practice at all. So at every given time, the beauty of our career is that it gives room for so much. There is such a vast space for legal practice, not just in all over the world. There's so many aspects of legal practice that have not even touched the surface of what it is that we're actually covering here in Nigeria. I remember 2 years ago, we wanted to set up our law firm in Nigeria. I just thought personally that, oh yeah, probably there's a lot of SEND offices going on in Nigeria. And we're doing our surveys. And I'm like, how is there no SEND law offices in Nigeria? Why is no one actually focused on practicing on SEND? Whereas it's such a big area in the UK where I was practicing. And it's such an evolutionary. So most people here, most of the reasons why they've not explored certain areas is because it's tied to some of the taboos that we are not experiencing. Like right now, I can't tell you the amount of organizations we get to work with because they don't have law firms that are competing with us. In the sense, we mostly work with persons with disability. We work with organizations that want to have that written laws, not just for Nigeria, but all over the world that ties into disability. And this thing is available to you. And someone like Dukwana that has a passion for people, she might go on to practice something like elder law, SEND law. She might end up doing open policy insurance laws for persons with disability. She can do open laws for persons with special needs. She might do sports law for persons with disability. There's so many areas, but if you are not passionate about something within you and outside you that can keep you in that place, you would not know what it is that you need to do. You will be so focused about the law with, oh, everybody is doing this law, or everybody's doing this particular area that is giving them XYZ money. And then you miss out on the right test that is supposed to actually push you towards the passion that would give you the resources that you need, or that would even expose you to the kind of person that you should be as you're growing in your legal career. Now, the reason I love what the legal learning area is doing is because most of us were very fictionally sectioned on one area of law when we were studying law, because we didn't get a lot of mentors around us that were open to give us sort of like a roadmap to see that there was no one road, and that the roads, just like life, can lead anywhere. So this is why I was actually very interested in this. And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm not a new wig, but I would love to give my 2 cents, because there's so many areas, but the areas will come to you as you evolve as a person and as you evolve as a lawyer. So for anyone on the call, as I'm rounding up, if there's a particular area of law that you are not sure of even exists, now, there's a lot of quantum that can actually give you access into opening that area of law, especially if it is something that is within the Constitution or within you. It can actually evolve into something. So don't worry too much if it's an aspect or area of law that you're not seeing other people practicing, or you've not explored, or you're not even sure if this is even something that exists. The most important thing is, once you understand your passion and you understand what it is that you need to go forward, there are already natural things that would test you. You as a person, maybe marriage, maybe being a father or being a mother. There's so many things that would naturally test you. But the passion of your core is what will test you in your legal career in ways that only you can now understand, that would either evolve you to become the 1% of this area of law in Nigeria, or to become a part of what it is that you will evolve. And then you can also be part of those people that would also create the policies that will now help that law be cemented within where you're practicing. So I just want to encourage every single one on the call. There's a lot that your legal career can do for you. You don't have to be in the stagnant corners of other people's lives. You don't have to wait for everybody to do the same thing. Now that you know that, okay, I can tweak it this way and I can do this way, and I can actually practice an area of law that I can be happy in. Like for myself, I practice first and foremost as a SEND facilitator and a SEND lawyer. So I get to work with all kinds of people from all over the world, but my core area is working with persons with disabilities. I have gone on to do different degrees, and I'm doing a PhD right now in special education and special needs, but I can still evolve myself in learning different areas of law that, interest me, like intellectual property or medical negligence or medical law. It doesn't stop me. But the most important thing is I know what I am most passionate about. I know what you can wake me up from, and I would practice for the next 20, 30 years. Maybe not even like in the proper actual active practice, but I would always practice it. So please don't limit yourself, and don't follow that bandwagon of, oh, if law doesn't work, then I do something else. You can always do something whilst you're doing your law career. So don't think that you need to do one or either. If you're really passionate about that area that you're thinking of or you're not sure of, just think about, outside this law, what can I do as a person? And if I can do this thing outside law, is there a way that I can contribute it into my legal career, since I have gone through the trouble of doing all this? So even if it's baking that you want to do, you can be baking and still be that lawyer that helps bakers around your community to explain to them the kind of laws that cut against customer service or things that has to do within that area of law. So you don't necessarily have to do one or the other, if you understand what I am doing. But at all times, if you just keep it in your mind that you need to be centered on what your passions are, so that when the tests are coming to you, whether natural tests or tests within your career, you can easily stump them. And always make sure that you're evolving with the law. Don't wait for someone to tell you what is going on in the area that you've chosen for yourself. Always evolve with the law, and good luck, everyone. Thank you.
Wow, thank you very, very much, Ma. Very, very educative, insightful session. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the investment of knowledge you've just given unto us. Thank you again, Ma. I think this is one of the most educative 15 minutes I've had in recent time. Thank you again, Ma. Thank you again, Ma. Just to reiterate one or two things that Barrister Ife has said. Barrister Ife talked about the fact that we need to know our passion out of law, because it will help us stand the tests and pressure of our career. And it's a question that we need to keep asking ourselves, even as we evolve. Very, very educative, Ma. Thank you very much. So without further ado, I want us to move straight to the next section. We have Barrister Ebenezar with us now. So we've read the profile of Barrister Ebenezar, but just because it wasn't around, so I'd like to just briefly read that again so that it comes up. Barrister Ebenezar Olorunju is the managing partner at McBankingdorf Legals, a boutique law firm offering specialized legal services with a special interest in taxation. Ebenezar is the convener of the annual Tax Matters Seminar and the publisher at McBankingdorf Tax Matters Journal. He is a member of the Nigerian Bar Association and also a member of the Lawyers in Energy Network. Barrister Ebenezar has been in active legal practice for almost a decade now. Joy in our hearts, we receive Barrister Ebenezar. You have the floor now, sir. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so very much. I really appreciate this very brief and succinct introduction that you have for me. Please, can we all hear me? Please, if you can hear me, just give me a thumbs up in the chat room. Please, let's be sure that I'm communicating to us. Hello, can we all hear me? All right, thank you so very much for the feedback. Yes. I like to have this feel that I'm talking. If you can put on your videos, it will help me be able to maintain contact with us. Please, can you turn on your videos? My video is on. Thank you very much. Please try and your video to really be good. Yes, thank you. I almost forgot I was in Nigeria. Hello.
Sorry, a moment, sir. Please, I want to tell everyone that if you have questions for Barrister Ife, please kindly note it down. We have a question and answer session coming up very soon. So we have the opportunity to ask all of our questions. Yeah, thank you very much. You can continue, sir.
All right, thank you so very much. Yes, so as I was saying, I am Ebenezar, managing partner with Peterkins-Itoe Legals, and then we have been around for some time. I want to say a special welcome to the bar and congratulations to all the core members. Okay, no, to all of you who have successfully completed your NYSC, your service year. I want to say a big congratulations to you, and also to say a big congratulations also to all the ones who are just commencing their service year. I welcome you really to the legal profession, and I'm sure you're going to have a most wonderful time, you know, in this in the profession. Now, straight to what we're talking about today, we're talking about pitfalls to avoid in choosing an employer. The legal profession is a very unique profession in that the same way your employer has the power to hire and fire, you as the employee also have the same power to fire your employer. And that's what makes it unique. You could decide today and say, come, this employer, I can no longer work with you. And you take a walk, and I tell you most times, you will be the better for it. But as a young lawyer, as a new entrant into the profession, there's always this false hope that we have about what the profession portends. You know, when you were in school, I was discussing with a couple of friends, and they said something about, it's not what they told us in the law school, in the university that we came out to meet. It's more like they make us believe that the moment you become a lawyer, there's a tree of money that will be planted at your backyard where you can easily pluck money from, and then you begin to live large. But the experience has revealed to us that it doesn't always follow. So, what is it that you should guard against, even as you have chosen to practice law? And I really appreciate what Barrister Ife talked about. Your passion matters, and then you must look for a way to reinvent yourself and continue to reinvent yourself in the legal profession. Now, the beautiful thing about the legal profession, just to add my voice to what Barrister Ife has said, is that you can add law to almost anything. To almost anything, you can add law to it. I mean, I was days when I heard that there's now fashion law, and interestingly, the fashion lawyer, as it were, yes, quote and unquote, is a legal practitioner who has been called to the Nigerian bar. Her passion is fashion design. Then she just coined the fashion law, and before you know it, I mean, I think she's running a PhD. That's if she's not yet a PhD holder in fashion law. You understand, there's fintech law. Virtually everything has law attached to it. Everything has law attached to it. So you can never be taken aback. You can never take the back seat as far as the legal profession is concerned. That's the truth. You can never take the back seat. But when you want to choose an employer, it sounds very funny. But in this profession, if you will go far as an employee, you must be very careful in choosing who your employer will be. And the first point I'm going to want us to note, I know it's going to be very short. It's going to be very short discourse, but please just take note of this. Please, the first thing you should avoid is this: don't fall for the big names. You understand? Don't get carried away by the big name of the firms. Yes, there are top tier firms that will pay you, that promises the good life when you look at it from outside. But the truth is, when you get in there, it is not as rosy as it looks on the outside. Most people want to work with the top tier law firms in the country. And I'm being careful. I don't want to mention the name of firms now so that I will not end up, putting myself out there. But the truth is this: when you end up with some of the big law firms, the chances of self-development may be very slow. Why? Because there are so many people lined up for cases that may not even have had the opportunity to even announce an appearance in court, on a very good suit, live large, look good, but the experience, they may be zero on it. You understand? There may be zero experience. So usually the first 2-3 years of your legal practice should be for development. So most times what I counsel is for a firm that will give you an opportunity to have a hands-on experience. And some of these things you get in the so-called small firms. I tell you a story of a friend who happened to practice in what you call the small firms. For the first 5 years, she was in this very small firm where they had so many cases in the magistrate courts, in the area courts, and then every day she has the opportunity of going to court, every day. She had the opportunity of going to court the very day it was called. Now, after about 3 years, she had the opportunity to now transition to a bigger firm, and it's bigger than the one she was. And when we met, she told me outright, she said, see, she had joined that bigger firm for about a year plus, and she made me understand that since I joined this firm, a year, 6 months, she said, I have not seen the walls of a magistrate court for 1 year, 6 months. And she was only given an opportunity to even announce appearance to move a motion in this bigger firm, I think about a year, 3 months after she joined them. You understand? So she was locked up in paperwork in the office. What does that tell you? The more you do this thing, okay, the more the experience you garner and the more expertise you build. Because at the end of the day, apart from the paperwork you do, which is also very, very good, you need the advocacy skills, and that you can only learn by doing. So our advice that in choosing an employer, now that you have entered into the system, choose an employer where you will have the opportunity to have a hands-on experience. If it is a big firm and there's the assurance that within the first 2, 3, 4 months of joining them, you can have a hands-on experience, please, why not? Get in and get your hands dirty. Because at the end of the day, that is what you have to live with, especially in some of the big firms. Most of these big firms, you may not really have access to the clients. The top guys deal with the clients, you do the work, But when you look for an employer where you have the hands-on experience, you get a holistic practice. And when I talk about a holistic practice, I talk about how to, let me break it down now. There are different skills that you need as a lawyer. First, you must know how to interact with a client. You must know how to handle the clients. You must know how to handle and get briefs. You must know how to manage the brief. Get your money skills at different levels. The big firms are so structured that there are some skills that the firm will take care of automatically. So all you need to do, if you will be opportune to handle cases, it's just be to handle the workload, as it were. Interpersonal relationships with clients, you may not have that experience, but you get that at the lower law firms. Define what you want. Do you want to really get your hands dirty, or you want somebody to come and do all the networking and dirty jobs before, and then you just go and do all the paperwork? Define what you really want. But for me, I'm an advocate of get all the experience that you can get to be a lawyer from the outset, so that when you decide to set out and start out on your own, you'll be on good footing. Let's put it that way. Now, another pitfall that you must avoid is this. Don't let money be your driving force. Don't let money ever be your motivation. I've spoken with friends, I've spoken with colleagues, and then they tell me, no, I cannot be paid. How can you pay me 20,000 naira? How can you pay me 30,000? How can you pay me 40,000? As a lawyer, no, I won't take that. Truth is, like I said earlier, define what you want. I tell you my personal story. I started out legal practice with a firm where it's an associateship, and all we're entitled to was just stipends, allowance, 15,000 naira. That was what I started with. That was in 2014. I started out with 2014, but I stayed back because one, the principal had a very sound knowledge of the law. His principles about life reasonably aligned with my principles for life. I had studied him from a distance, and I have seen his value system. And those are some of the value systems I really wanted to adopt for myself. So I didn't make money my driving force. I went for the basics. Let's fast forward 3 years after. 3 years after, we had gotten the basics, getting how to get clients, how to negotiate fees, how to get briefs, how to go to court, file motions, file statement of defense, file statement of claim, just get a touch of virtually every area of legal practice. And after I had gotten that, one day he came to the office, and then he told all of us who were about 4 years post-call and said, "See, you people have come of age. I'm not going to pay you guys anything anymore. You can be on your own, so you should begin to, do your work." And it was like throwing us into the sea and telling us to swim. Yes, good enough. We swam, and we became better off. We discovered at the end of it that what we're even making while under him, he could ordinarily not even have paid us. You understand? You also learn management skills, resources management in some of these lower firms. If you don't make money your driving force, okay? Now, fast forward again another 3 years, I found myself in the firm of a senior advocate, where I thought, okay, I could learn so much. It's a pretty big firm, but I discovered that I was the one who was guiding the senior advocate on very elementary things of legal practice. You understand? He had risen so fast. Of course, yes, he's a senior advocate. He got his senior advocacy by on the academics ground. So he was not too grounded in legal practice. I discovered that I was the one who was guiding him on some basic principles of law. What am I saying in essence? Understand and get the basics of legal practice, even if where you are going to get it from does not guarantee money, because in the long run, it will pay off. I have a very short time more to go, so let's quickly run down. One of the third thing I want you to understand is this. Understand very, very well your value system. What do you value? Then, what does the firm that wants to employ you value? Does it align? If it doesn't, I advise you, please, if you don't want to make a wreck of yourself, then don't get that person as an employer. I left the office I was because I discovered that our value system didn't agree. I'm not going to go into the details on. Your firm does not place premium on it, you will always have friction and you cannot grow in such an environment. So take, for instance, you place a very high premium on your family and your firm does not see anything in family. It feels like work is above family. If you stay in such an area, your family will suffer. And what is the beauty of life? If you make all the money in this world and your values are eroded, it doesn't make sense. So before you pick up an employer, try as much as possible to do a background check on this employer to find out what are his value systems. What are the things that he values? Do they align with your own values? Do they align with your principles for life and living? If it does, why not please go on and ahead and work there? Or if it doesn't, please step on the brakes. Reason being that at the end of the day, your mental health is what matters most. As I begin to wind down in this conversation, I've been told I have about 10 minutes and I don't want to outshoot my time. The legal practice is wide. Look for a place and get an employer who will give you the opportunity to grow. That is most important. There are some firms that are out there to use you and will never grow you. So in determining a firm that will help you grow, fraternize with the employees in that firm. Take a peek into their life. And if they will be honest with you, they will guide you. So that you don't end up in a vicious cycle of holding on to what you have because you are not sure of what is to come. Everybody, okay, let me not say everybody, but a larger percentage of lawyers want to be able to eventually build a name for themselves. So in the firm where you are, you have an opportunity to build a name for yourself? Do you have an opportunity to actually to stamp your name in the rocks of time? Will that opportunity shine? And you those no so concludes the way the firm, and then that's a big word to be working satisfies your human nature. But while there, are you getting the satisfaction you desire? That's the first thing. Secondly, don't let money be your driving force. Because if money is your motivation for joining a firm, you may discover that you will end up piercing yourself with many sorrows. Why? Because you will never get satisfaction you really desire out of something. Number 3, stand your values with the values of the firm that you want to work with. If there is conflict in your value system, you will end up being a very miserable, successful lawyer. And finally, what is your principle for living? Is that the same principle that the firm or the principal partner of that firm work closely with? If it is not, please, and the company you keep in the nearest future. You don't want to grow up not liking the person whom you have become. I know of a firm, of a principal partner of a firm who successful. He has all the money he and travel anywhere he wants. But family is in some other areas is good, but you understand that life is about being here too long in that environment. There's a subtle way he will, and before you know it, you begin to think at 100% alignment. That is very correct. But if you can get a 60% alignment, I think that's a good environment to grow. But growth be your job. Thank you so very much for this opportunity.
Okay, thank you very, very much, sir. It's also been a very enlightening session. Yeah, we can hear you, sir. All right, thank you very much, Mr. Ebenezar Esquire. Thank you very much for taking time to speak to us. I'm sure everybody on the call will agree with me that we have gotten value for our time, and it doesn't come by easily. So I'll just also make some re-emphasis on what Barrister Ebenezar spoke about this afternoon. Barrister Ebenezar spoke about the fact that we do not need to be carried away by the good names. That when choosing an employer, we should look at the fact that the employer we are choosing will give us the opportunity to get hands-on experience of the profession. And I think that's very, very important. We don't necessarily have to make money our driving force. And we should also look forward to getting an employer that will give us the opportunity to grow. And that's totally the truth, nothing far from the truth. Thank you very much again, sir. We appreciate your time. I'm sure we have questions. So just in a few moments from now, we take questions. Moving on, we'd like to take the third session now. And I'll just briefly read the profile of our third speaker, and that's our convener of the Legal Learning Mentorship Program. Speaking of no other person than Mr. Oluwole Olatunde Esquire. Mr. Oluwole is the managing partner at Legal Learning LP, a litigation, corporate, and commercial law firm. Mr. Oluwole is a dynamic and highly motivated lawyer. He is a writer, a tutor, and public speaker. He is resourceful, dedicated, and a diligent professional with broad experience in corporate law practice, debt recovery, public sector, regulatory and compliance, litigation, and property law practice. His passion for the legal profession and desire for excellence is his motivation and guide to success. He graduated from the University of Ilorin in 2010 and was admitted to the Nigerian Bar as Barrister and Solicitor of the Supreme Court of Nigeria on 4th February 2012. He is the founder of Legal Learning Mentorship Program. He's also a passionate teacher. Happily married to Mrs. Oluwatosin Olatunde and blessed with 3 children. He's an ordained minister with the Redeemed Christian Church of God, All of Mercy, where he is currently the academic co-coordinator, amongst other responsibilities. It's my privilege and joy to welcome our founder and convener, Mr. Oluwole Olatunde. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Oyinkolade, and good afternoon once again to everyone on the call. I hope I'm audible and you can all hear me.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. So Okay, so it's been a very, very wonderful section. Hearing Barrister Ife talk to us on the passion and the test. And then we also had Mr. Ebenezar Olorunju talk to us on the pitfall to avoid in choosing an employer. I will just add one or two things to the presentation so far because they've been able to pick from and to say to a large extent on my topic to discuss mistakes that new wigs should avoid. And do you agree with me that both Barrister Ife and Mr. Olorunju has actually said one or two things in respect of that? Well, I just want to do a little introduction and then share one or two personal experience with us, and we end this section. So when we talk about mistakes basically means wrong done or judgment or things that are perceived to be correct would turn out to be wrong. So mistakes come from, of course, all of us here as lawyers knows that we have mistake as a concept in law, and it comes out as a result of the fact that you believe something to be true or something that you actually thought was true, and you have at one point or the other live and believe on that notion. And it turned out to be that it was wrong, it was false. Now, one thing that we should note in respect of mistake is that in life, we are all bound to make mistakes. We're all bound to make mistakes. As a matter of fact, making mistakes is one of the fact that we are human and we are fallible. So remember, the Supreme Court made such a pronouncement that the fact that we are the final, that the fact that the court is a final court doesn't mean that they are infallible, and that's established the fact that no matter who you are in life, no matter where you are coming from, you are expected to make one or two mistakes. However, it is wrong for you to repeat the mistakes of others. So when people make mistakes, we say that we learn from it, and it's actually wrong for you to go ahead to repeat the mistakes of others. And that's one of my principles in life, that it's better you learn from others than you make the same mistake or that you repeat the same mistakes. So the pitfalls that new wigs should or the mistakes new wigs should avoid in life and in practice of law borders on two specific areas. One, it borders on who you are. It borders on the people that you have around you, and it also borders on how teachable that you are. Now, I will start speaking on the last point, the second point. Now, one being teachable, sum up in the word humble, or to be humble. Now, it will not be said that you are teachable when you have pride, when you are arrogant. And for all of us on this call, you agree with me that our religious belief as its clear position on the arrogance and pride in life. So these are things that we need to look at for as new wigs. Don't present yourself in such a way that you are full of yourself. You know everything. So I will also refer us to the section we had on Saturday with our mentor, Pastor Samoshamolu. The recording of that section is available on the YouTube, so you can check on my YouTube, and then you will see the recording. It's very, very instructive. Now, another thing that you should note in respect of you being teachable to avoid mistakes is who you are and the people you have around you. Some people are teachable, but they don't have good people which need to make the mistakes. Why some people have people around them, but they are not ready or they are not teachable. So when people tell them do this, they don't actually listen and they don't want to do it. So again, the point is that you will only be able to learn from others' experience in order for you not to repeat their mistakes. So, and you cannot learn from people's experience when you don't have a relationship with them. So if none of us here had joined this call today, you wouldn't have had the privilege of hearing from Barrister Ife's experience. You will not have the opportunity of hearing from Mr. Ebenezar's experience. For some reasons, I've had the privilege of interacting with both students at the Nigerian Law School and then when they are called to bar. And I can tell you that this is one thing that, of course, there's this belief that the legal profession is actually a profession of the so-called arrogant people. I remember then in university, our friends used to call us differently. You guys are arrogant. You guys are just full of yourself and all of that. But the truth is that it is not the profession that makes you to be arrogant. It is who you are, who you used to be before you enter into the profession. So let's get that out. So now back to the topic. What are the common mistakes that new wigs should avoid as they go in the profession? The first mistake that you should avoid is try as much as possible not to isolate yourself. Do not isolate yourself in the practice of law. And this taking me to the point of you being teachable and you have mentors. As in, it's so much important because you see, the people you have around you and the people you are accountable to will determine how far you will go in life. All right, so let me give us this illustration. If you are a driver and you are driving to an unknown place, you've never been there before, and you decide not to use your GPRS or your Google Map, or you decide not to stop at different points to ask questions, what will happen is that, one, you will not be able to move at the required speed. Number two is that you will end up finding yourself in the wrong place. So as new wigs, please try as much as possible to ask questions. Try as much as possible to have people around you that can guide you, that can instruct you, that can mentor. Because the legal profession is such a wide practice. Is a practice that has a wide range of experience and exposure, and you cannot just continue to just do things the way you feel you can do it, or the way you feel you probably want to do it. You need to have people that will make mistakes of, oh, I can do it alone. And on this point, I would like to say that working under someone or working under an employment with a senior or in a law firm is something that gives you this opportunity. But more than that, you should be intentional about it. Be intentional about you learning. Be intentional about you acquiring the requisite knowledge, experience, and exposure. Because we've had people who, like Mr. Ebenezar said, we have people who probably had the opportunity of working in a big law firm and all of that, but they were just being nonchalant about it. They just, I've gotten a firm in so, and that's it. So you have to be intentional about your professional growth, which stem from you not isolating yourself You have people around you that you are accountable to, people around you that will guide you in as you grow in the legal profession. Another mistake that new Wigs should avoid making is don't underrate opportunities that comes your way. As in, don't undermine opportunity that comes your way. So just yesterday, I was with one of my students who happened to be on this call, but because he's preparing for exam, so I told him not to bother. I'm going to share the recording with them. And he just finished youth service. He was privileged to serve in a government establishment. I will not mention the name. And for one reason or the other, his supervisor has actually rated him above his colleague and has also made a recommendation to that's his supervisor's superior, that's the head of the department, and the head of the department has made an offer to him to come after the end of the youth service. And this is my student here told me, I will not go. And I was there asking him, and I asked him, why? What are your reasons why you don't want to go? Because he came up with one or two reasons. And I told him, I said, see, as long as it's not in conflict with your personal belief and your projection in life, you have no cogent reasons why you should ignore this opportunity. And I said, because there are quite a number of people that will pay hundreds of thousands for them to have this opportunity be presented to you. But you see, that is not the point. The point is that someone recommended you to another, to his superior, and you are just taking that for granted because you don't know where that recommendation will come. So I asked a question. How did our vice president become who he is today? And the question is it was on recommendation. Somebody just recommended him and they said, oh, wow, we have a candidate. And that's it. So don't underrate opportunities that comes your way. It may seem so small, trivial, and all of that, but I tell you, inherent in every opportunity is a gold mine. Every opportunity that you see coming, as long as it's not in conflict with your personal goals, is not in conflict with your passion, is not in conflict with your drive, your motivation generally in life, please don't underrate it. As in, it's possible for you to work with an organization within just 1 month, and working in that organization will open a door for you the next 1 month. So I will share with us another experience of one of our team members who we happened to work together in a particular law firm. And when he was leaving, I told him to join me in some of the things I do around the law school. And without we even starting fully the whole business, he got another opportunity. But the opportunity came as a result of the fact that he had told one or two people that he has joined me in doing what I'm doing. Tertiary institution. So you don't know the benefit, you don't know the blessings that some of these opportunities will open to you in the nearest future. The third mistake I want to talk on that new Wigs should avoid is mistakes on money and remuneration. Now, I know that everyone on this call, we agree with me that the situation of the country is actually getting worse. Economically, we are trusting God that it gets better. And there will be drive for you to make ends meet. There will be drive for you to actually get more money and, of course, as younger people, as people who have different needs and all of that. And you also want to be independent. So there's always that feeling that, oh, I need more money. But I tell you, you cannot quantify certain exposure and experience in life in terms of money. So don't make money your driving force. As in, don't make money your drive in the legal profession. I used to tell people, I said, there are quite a number of some of our colleagues that I know that started making money, as in they started making money immediately after practice and all of that. As we speak, quite a number of them are not even in the country. So they've had reasons to abandon the practice of law here in Nigeria, and then they've gone for greener pasture. There is nothing wrong about that, but it just shows that you cannot always have your needs, as in you cannot always have it met because you are looking for money. And for those of us who we agree with me, money is just one of the currencies that are available in the world. As in, what I mean that money is just one way of means of exchange in the world. There are other means in which you can actually get value. There are other means in which you can actually get things in the world. So I find myself in places where I actually wanted to, probably I enter into a store and I wanted to buy something for myself. I have my money. And as I enter into the store, I met one or two people who happened to be my past students. And they said, "Oh, sir, nice to meet you. What do you want to get?" And I get everything I want to get. And at the point of payment, I was told that so I'd paid for it. So it's important that you don't make money your driving force, particularly in the legal profession. There are certain things that you will do for the purpose of learning. There are certain things that you will do for the purpose of getting satisfaction. There are certain things that you do for the purpose of being paid. So wisdom demands that you know when you act on this. And on this point, I will quickly close on a very, very important issue. I have discovered that the younger ones in the profession and generally don't want to do things for free. We always want to attach value for every services we render at one point or the other. As much as possible, or as far as I'm concerned, there's nothing bad about that. But always remember that is not everything that money we get for you. So on this point, I advocate that new wig go for experience, go for exposure. Go for experience, go for exposure. And on this note, I will share with us a personal experience. So I think about 2018 or 2017, I got a bit tired with an organization I was working with, and I sincerely desired a new place of employment. And so I got this offer from a senior colleague who had talked to us at one point on our platform, Dr. Oluwole. And when we got to the place, it happened to be a law firm. And I was told after they went through my CV that they actually wanted a lawyer, but I was below the post-call experience of the lawyer that was required. And as a result of that, they might not be able to employ me. And they told me that the only vacancy available in that office was the office of a paralegal. So as at that time, I had worked as worked as a lecturer in a paralegal school here in Abuja, and I had taught there for over 2 years. And I was like, why would they employ me? As at that time, I was over 5 years post-call. Why will I be employed as a paralegal? And I was almost turning down the offer, but I said to myself that if this office needs the service of a paralegal and they need the service of a senior lawyer, which according to them, I am not qualified by post-call experience, it's possible that by virtue of experience and exposure that I have, I might be able to conveniently occupy the position of both a paralegal and the senior lawyer, pending when there will be a new vacancy and all of that. So I decided to go for the offer as a paralegal. We did everything and all of that, and I was at work one afternoon and I received a call from the HR that I'm to resume work a month after. And that was how it started. Now, I was employed as a paralegal. In fact, I kept the letter of employment so close to my credentials because I consider it to be something very, very important, important document for my growth. So I was employed as a paralegal and I was earning lower than every lawyer in the office. But the funniest thing was that as at that time in that office, I only had 2 people who were my senior post-call among the lawyers in the office. So I had another lawyer who were call mates, and then I had 2 other lawyers that were my junior in the law firm, but I was employed as a paralegal. And I resumed work. I was doing my work as a paralegal, and then suddenly there was a need for a lawyer to coordinate the pro bono practice of the firm. And because of the exposure and the experience I've had in litigation, and also as a lecturer in a paralegal school, I was able to combine the 2 work. So I was working as a pro bono coordinator as a lawyer, and I was also working as a paralegal. And I was there. And I tell you, 2 months after my resumption at the office, the principal partner just called me and said, we've actually reviewed your performance in the law firm, and we have decided to upgrade your status to that of a full-fledged lawyer. And it was immediate. My salary was reviewed. So I started earning the same amount that the lawyers in the law firm were earning. And in another 3 months, I was appointed as one of the practice one or 2 other colleagues, and then another junior colleague. And we were there, and I was there, and we all continued, and we just continued, and we rose, and until when it was time for us at different times to leave the law firm. So the lesson is that if I'd considered the status of being a paralegal in the law firm and the money I will earn in that particular law firm, I will not be in that office when they will need a lawyer to be the pro bono coordinator. I will not be there when they will need a lawyer to take over their practice group leader. As I was a corporate practice group. And I will not be there. And because of that, I will have missed that opportunity because I thought the status or the offer that was given to me and the payments were actually below my qualification. So this is my advice to our new Wigs. Please do not make mistakes. Do not make the mistake of you saying or consider that this work is below my status. This work is not the funniest thing is that while I was teaching in the paralegal school, I had the opportunity of doing 1 or 2 work of a paralegal. And so it wasn't just because I taught in a paralegal school, that was why I could do the work of a paralegal, but because I was involved in the process of teaching and training our students, even though I wasn't actually teaching them paralegalism, which was like the course, Introduction to Paralegalism. I wasn't just only teaching them, I was practicalizing it. So I believe that this experience I've shared with us, I actually encapsulated all the points I've made. Don't ignore any opportunity. As long as it's in line with your drive, it's in line with your personal goals in life, please go for it, because an opportunity is meant to open another door. Every opportunity is meant to open another door for you. So, and don't in this part of the world, we have this perspective about work. So they consider some work as not less important, and some are very, very important. So you could find yourself in a law firm, and all that you are expected to do is for you to take notes when you go to courts. That's all you do. Please, for the short time that you have to spend there, do it very well. So many people have made money in publishing their notes in courts. So many people have made notes in publishing their own notes that they made in court. They have made money publishing it as book, and people are buying it. So you may underrate that, but I tell you, there is value in that. So sorry, I've taken a whole lot of time, but I believe that we've been able to get some value, and we'll be able to enrich our knowledge on this subject matter. So I will stop here so that we can take question and answer. So over to Mr. Oluwole for the question and answer section.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir. We appreciate this question that you just anchored now. The speaker that just spoke to us now is our host and the founder of Legal Learning Mentorship Program, and also to the partner of Legal Learning LLMP. So thank you, sir, for that insightful session. And straight away we'll be going to our questions and answer session. So we want as many of us that have any question or any challenge or gray areas with respect to the 3 subtopics that have been handled by our facilitators this afternoon, to just send in their questions so that they could as well help us to throw more light on them. So far, we don't have any questions, but we wish to bring it to our notice that if there's any question that the participants have, any area that they need more clarification, any area they need the facilitators to say 1 or 2 things to clarify them, this is the session. We have a few minutes to handle that, since we still have our speakers on this call right now. Yes, if there's any question, we would like to take them right now. If you have any question, we would like to take them. And I also want to ask last speaker, our host, I have a few questions to ask. I will just ask.
Okay, I think someone is, Ms. Dupe is raising her hand.
Okay, you can ask your question. You can send the question through your, you can send it to our chat box, or you can also unmute your mic and also speak to, so that speakers can react to it.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
All right, sir. Thank you very much to all of our facilitators. We really appreciate. It's been a very insightful session so far. So I want to ask about a situation very peculiar to me. I want to ask if it is advisable to either do my LLM. Like, I'm going to be done with service very soon, and I'm actually really interested in going into litigation, like I said earlier. So I want to know if it's advisable to either go and do my LLM immediately as soon as possible, because I kind of have an offer from the person I'm working with, my present PPA, that I should stay back to my LLM rather. But they don't do litigation. They do military law and some little corporate practices. So I'm not really fulfilled working with them. In fact, I had to attach myself to another law firm while working with them. I had to attach myself to another law firm where they do litigation. And from that place, I've been able to learn one or two things. So now you saying that we shouldn't underrate any opportunity. He actually said that it might be helping me with some payments of fees and everything during my LLM process. So I don't know if it's advisable. Do I really need to do my master's as soon as possible? Or it's better to just go gain experience first, and eventually I can know what I even want to do in my LLM, because that was the idea I had initially. So that's the first question. And the second question is that, is it advisable to work with a law firm that is just starting? Like, they don't even have a physical office yet. It is just starting, but you have an offer from that law firm. Is it advisable to work with that law firm? They don't have, I don't know if they have enough numbers of clients yet too. So those are my questions. Thank you very much.
Okay, so thank you for your question, Dike to Malo. Thank you very much for those questions. I would humbly request that our host, Oluwole Olatunde, will help us react to these two questions. Over to you, sir.
Okay. To Ms. Dupe's question, the first thing I want to let you know is that except if you want to go into academics, master's is not actually very, very important. But now, because we are in a time evolving, we are in a time that is evolving, first degree is now becoming school sats, and then second degree is now taking the place of first degree. And I tell you that if you have any opportunity now to do your master's from experience, it's better you just do it. It's better you just use the opportunity to do it. And in answering your question, do you think if you go to a law firm, as in a busy law firm, you will be able to combine the work with practice? Definitely the answer will be no. You will not be able to combine the work with practice. All right. So one thing that is important for us to also note and add to what I have said is that you should know the importance of certain levels and phases of your practice. So if you have the opportunity of working with a law firm who have an understanding that you want to do your master's, and you have the privilege of doing it without having conflict with work, so you get paid at the end of the month, despite the fact that you may not go to work every day, or you are not doing work every time, as in you're not in work because you have to go for your classes and all of that. I will advise you to go for it. But you see, why doing this? Now, let's now apply it with your passion for litigation. In doing this, you could have one or two seniors who are purely into litigation, and at one point or the other, you are always there to probably render one or two services to them in terms of litigation. You could follow them to court when you are free. As a matter of fact, you could just go to court yourself to law reports and be reading judgment of the Supreme Court, judgment of the Court of Appeal. You are abreast with what is happening in litigation. In about 18 months, thereabouts, or 2 years, you are done with your master's. Then you come back into full practice, into litigation and all of this, as in you are still within the practice of law. The issue will have been different if probably where you are working is not a law-related establishment, whereby you can now be, we cannot have agitation of, okay, you are not doing anything related to law. See, you might have passion for law now, but you might have to go through certain parts in life and your practice that your destination is actually litigation. But in touching other areas, it builds you up and gives you strong exposure for litigation. So my advice to you is not to leave the firm now until probably you get a better offer, which will still allow you to achieve what you want to achieve within the time that you have set out to do. Doing your master's early in life and in practice, in your practice journey is very, very important for you, particularly as a lady, because you will not have all the time to do it. So it's very, very important. At least it's once you are done with it, that's ends it. Then on the second issue about opportunity and everything, see, whether the law firm has an office or not, the question is that, can you work with them? Will you be paid? Will you get a little level of experience and exposure? If the answers to this question is in the affirmative, then I will advise you to stay with them until when you get a better offer. Because working with them will expose you to how you can start your own practice. Most lawyers never had that exposure. So when you have a law firm starting and you stay with them and you learn how they start getting their clients, the structures and the systems that they start putting in place, if by tomorrow you want to start your own law firm, you have acquired an experience that you cannot actually purchase, that you cannot get with money. So that is my advice. If you are going to stay with them for a very short time, stay with them for a short time until you decide to transit to another better firm. But don't say because they are just starting, they don't have clients, they don't do all of. As long as you can answer those 3 questions, can you work with them? Will you be paid? Will you get the required experience and exposure? Then I will advise that you just go for the offer that you have now. All right, so over to the moderator.
Thank you very much for that answer. I believe, Ms. Dupe, you are okay with the response so far, with the answer given. So we can move on to the next question.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. We still have to take a few questions from our participants, and you can indicate if you have any question, any query or challenge or any gray area with respect to the areas handled by our speakers. We want to switch to say it so that we have the privilege to react to our questions. So please, if you have any questions, you can send them into our chat box, and then they will react to them accordingly. Or you can also indicate by raising up your hand so that we recognize you to ask your question. Anyone?
Hello, sir.
Okay.
Yes, I have a question for Barrister Ife. Yes. Okay. Barrister Ife talked about passion and working as a lawyer, finding a balance between your passion and your profession as a lawyer. So I want to ask about that. We advise that we should channel our passion to finding a way to leverage it with our profession as being a lawyer. So what if it gets to that point where we feel that our passion requires us to do something entirely different or something quite different from working as a lawyer? So in that situation, what do we do? What would be your advice for such a lawyer or such a new week? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So we call on.
Hi, Oni.
Okay, thank you. Now.
Okay, thank you. Oni. It's Oni, yes?
Yes, it's Oni Colado.
All right, great. Good question. Now, the beauty of being a lawyer, especially once you've been called, is you will always be a lawyer. And a few times, depending on where you are in life, you would have to decide what kind of priority you're going to leverage into your career or into your family life or into wherever it is that you find yourself. Even if you're not practicing or whether you're practicing, you are a lawyer. That is the beauty of being a lawyer. There's a lot of circumstances that, of course, might get to that place where you might want to do something else. One of the beautiful things about owning your passion is that there are certain ways that you can cement it with the life that you've chosen or the career that you've chosen. Now, I have friends in tech that are lawyers. I have friends in fashion that are lawyers. I have friends in the disability space that are lawyers. I have friends that are politicians that are lawyers. So there is very, very slim situations where you being a lawyer would limit you, except if it's maybe something that has to do with, there are certain world organizations that will tell you that you can't do certain practices if you're going to work in their organizations and all that. So you would need to know, but if you get to a place where you feel as though the current passion that you are actually now living in does not require you to practice, it doesn't stop you from being who you are. It just means that you are in this place now in life where you are not actively in practice. Now, I have gone to do business. When I finished law school in the UK, before I even came to Nigeria to do law school, I practiced as an anti-crime counselor. So I was in the field for about 2 years where we're doing a lot of money laundering. We're doing a lot of investigative analysis. I was working with the military and the government areas in that, and it had nothing to do with law. But because of my foundation as a lawyer, there were certain things I could bring into conversations that did not require them to look for a lawyer. So at certain times, I got to understand that I could make extra money as an inside consultant for those people without them having to bring in an extra lawyer. Do you understand? So that was now the advantage that my background gave me. And even when working in the SEND community with the autism organization, before we even started our own firm, it also helped me that I knew the foundations of what it means to be in this type of law, maybe elder law or SEND law. So those things will not stop you. There's so many areas of life that you find yourself in. And just because you have that foundation, you would know that, okay, right now I need to get an MOU or I need to get an agreement because this thing is going to look like something that might jeopardize me if I actually don't have it concretely written down or I don't have this thing tabled out. So it's actually an advantage. And that is one of the beauty of law. It's an advantage that even when you're not practicing, there's so many areas of life that you will still need to touch up on that legal end, and you already now have the advantage. So that's the beauty of it. So don't worry so much about whether you will not get to that place where, or you lose that passion to practice. It's always going to be a part of you. You just get to decide whether or not you want to be in it or not, in that core, but it will always be a part of you. So don't worry about that.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Mom.
Thank you very much. So I think that was very clear enough.
Yes, that was clear. That was very clear.
Thank you very much. I also have a question to one of our speakers. I think any of the speakers can actually answer this. I just needed clarification on this point that was most likely we have a new week, first year of their call. There's this passion and drive to explore all areas of law. And so they are oftentimes they are engaged in litigation, particular transaction, or real estate transactions, corporate, commercial, oil and gas, and every other areas of law. And all that they just want to garner experiences as they go. I want to know if it is a mistake or if it is actually wrong to engage in almost all these areas. There are some law firms that are well structured that they have all these as departments in the firm. Whether it should be proper to engage in all of these areas to garner experiences, or it should be proper for a new week to specialize in one area. Take for instance, you want to specialize in corporate or in commercial or real estate law. Will it be proper that your first year of college, 2 years of college, you specialize in these areas, or you can engage yourself in all these other areas to better experience that as you go later on in the practice, you can specialize. Thank you.
Okay, can I make an input on that?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. There's this popular saying where they say, jack of all trades and master of none. Actually, that's a lie, because it's a half truth. Jack of all trade, the full sentence actually is jack of all trade, master of none, but knowledge in enough. That's actually the full sentence of that thing. The fact that you have, you're practicing in and out has its disadvantages and also has its advantage. I would personally always advise a new wig to center yourself in 3 places. And when I say center yourself in 3 places, I usually use the spiritual honor of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. If it's shortened in your mind, the areas that you can work on fully is easier for you. But that doesn't mean that you should not have knowledge to have conversations with your colleagues that are outside of that ramification of your 3 core, or if you now want to do a 5 core or whatever your brain can sustain. There are some of us that, we stick to we just stick to one thing. And then there are some of us that you can do so much. Now, for me as a new wig, it was very interesting to do as much area as I could in terms of a foundational knowledge, but I stuck to 3 core areas that I wanted to practice in, that I wanted to see to the end. I was ready to go the ends of the world with those 3 core. And what those things has given me is it has strengthened my knowledge in those areas to be able to now fashion out what I can say is my center core, which is Send Law. But I have two other areas of law that I work under as well. Now, the knowledge factor with how the law is practiced in Nigeria, you don't have a limiting base in Nigeria. In the UK, for us, if you're a law firm, you can't have more than 5 areas of law because you have to do CPDs. Now, for CPDs, you have to do at least 4 or 5 CPDs per core area that your law firm does every year as an employee. And most of the CPDs cost about from 50 to 200 pounds. So imagine you're doing 4 areas of law in your law firm. And that means that you need to cough out maybe 200 to 600 pounds a year for continuous learning of that 1 core. Then do it for 4 cores. You can see how expensive it is. So it helps practitioners in the UK to limit the areas of law you are into so that you are very vast in those areas, but it doesn't stop you from wanting to, explore whatever. It's just that within your own firm, you can't do more than a certain area of law so that you also can minimize your costs. But in Nigeria, you don't have that. So over here, you find that because of how the economic area is structured and the kind of monies that come in within firms, most people might, because, okay, this opportunity is coming and it's money, they would just decide, you know what, as of today, 9 a.m. this morning, we'll start a property law, even if we weren't doing it yesterday. Do you understand? Because most people do not want to lose the opportunities of where they're coming from. And we do not have a strong referral system here where you can say, oh no, I can't take this job. Let me get you another law firm that would do this job. It's not something that we relate to easily here, because we'll just be like, no, we'll lose that opportunity. That's the reason why we have that. But if you decide to have a vast area of knowledge, have a vast area of knowledge if you can handle it, but do not have a vast area of core. Make sure that you have a limiting core so you are not overwhelmed with over-exhausting yourself and then becoming what it is that first line says when it says that, oh, jack of all trade, master of none. Do you understand?
Okay. Thank you very much. I think that was very quite explanatory, and I think I'm okay with the explanations. Thank you very much. Now, I quite appreciate the contributions. We still want to take a few more before I will finally hand over to Olade. I don't know if we still have anyone that wants to get some clarifications, or that has any contribution or a challenge with respect to the areas that our speakers have spoken on this afternoon. I think in the absence of any, I will hand over to Mr. Kolade. Mr. Kolade, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you very much, Mr. Progress. Thank you. All right. So I believe everybody will agree with me that it's been a very lovely time, educative and insightful session so far. From the beginning of the program up till now, it's been a ride of knowledge impact. Thank you very much for coming around. We want to especially thank our speakers, Barrister Ifeoma Peterkins, Barrister Ebenezar Olorunju, and our very own Mr. Oluwole. Thank you very much for your inputs. Thank you for taking out time out of your obviously busy schedules. And we want to also thank everybody who made it to this meeting. A couple of us, a very good number of us stayed from the beginning for your time. I believe you've gotten value in exchange for the time you've spent here. So without wasting any further time, I would like to hand over now to our convener, the founder of LLMP, Barrister Oluwole, for his closing remarks. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Kolade. And I want to once again appreciate my co-speakers and facilitator in this section, Barrister Ify and Mr. Ebenezar Olorunju. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you for sharing with us from your words of experience and knowledge this afternoon. And to all of us on this call, my fellow colleagues and new Wigs, I want to say thank you for staying on this call for this time. And we hope that when next week we call on you for a meeting, a section like this, you will honor us with your presence and also invite your colleagues and friends to join us. So we've come to the point where we have to say goodbye and say see you next time. Just one or two information as way of announcement. I shared the link for the New Week community on the chat box. So please, if you are not a member of the community, you can kindly use the link to join, because we plan to host one or two sections that will be strictly for the community members. is going to hold on the platform of the community strictly, and we will not welcome anyone who is not a community member to join. And also, we will be having another section of the community meeting of this community in the month of April. The date and the time will be communicated to us by Mr. Oluwole and his team soon. And I also want to invite us, I want us to also note that the Legal Learning Mentorship Program, LLMP, learning and mentoring section that holds every month will take place at the last Saturday of the month of May. The last Saturday of the month of May. So please, let's all take note of that and plan to be part of this section. We will inform us of details of that very soon. So the last Saturday of the month of May is 28th of May, and it promised to be another section. We will be rounding up our section on the mining relationship for a profitable practice, and we'll also be bringing in on board another expert in an area of law that we think we should know about, which we can leverage on. So please, let's stay tuned in all our various platforms as we get us updated in respect of these events that we have ahead of us. So once again, I want to sincerely appreciate every one of us. And I also want to appreciate Mr. Oluwole and his team. I want to appreciate Mr. Prosper. Who also co-moderates this section with him. And I want to appreciate Mr. Emmanuel and Mr. Ebenezar, members of the LLMP team members that joined this section. I want to say thank you. God bless you. Do enjoy the rest of your evening, and see you at the top. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you, sir. Thank you, everybody.